How can you do this? This is outrageous. It's unfair. How can you be on the council and not be a master?
Take a seat, young Skywalker.
You are on this council, but we do not grant you the rank of master. This line perhaps captures one of the most definitive moments in Anakin Skywalker's turn and embrace of the dark side. But why did it really have to go this way? Greetings, curious acolytes of the Force, and welcome back to the archives. The moment that Anakin is allowed on the Jedi High Council, but is at the same time denied the rank of master, has to be one of the biggest emotional roller coasters for the young Skywalker's entire life. It solidifies Anakin's distrust of the Jedi, and may have been the final straw to secure his seduction into becoming Lord Vader. But what are the specific reasons, as highlighted by Mace Windu, why Anakin was denied mastership, especially after everything he did for the Republic in the Clone Wars, and especially after rescuing the Supreme Chancellor and executing Count Dooku? Surely Anakin deserved the rank of master. But what are the reasons why Mace Windu specifically actually never wanted Anakin to become a master, at least for a very, very long time? Had Anakin attained this position that he desired, perhaps all of galactic history would have gone very differently. When looking at the film and peering into the Revenge of the Sith novelization, we actually get an interesting perspective on the subject, particularly from the point of view of Mace Windu, who in fact seems to have been the driving force behind keeping Anakin out of mastership. And in the process, we will be also talking about why it was so important to Anakin that he attained the rank of master in the first place. So now, let us begin. At this point, I'm sure we are all wondering why Anakin was kept from this position. He brought up a good point when he said that no one has ever been on the Jedi Council and not been a master. It was practically unheard of. However, it was even more unheard of someone of Anakin's age to sit upon the council. But with that said, it does seem rather off that there would be a Jedi Knight on the High Council. If not just out of place, we might be able to understand that the Jedi didn't want to simply give out this rank freely, especially to someone so young. But the problem is Anakin Skywalker had by then accomplished more in the 3 years of the Clone Wars than a vast majority of the council that sat there currently, and what they had accomplished their entire lives. When Anakin presents the question to Obi-Wan of why he is denied the rank of master, we get a rather flimsy answer from the Jedi Master himself in the form of the council disliking Anakin's relationship with the Chancellor. The official reason that Anakin was denied the rank of master was largely due to the fact that it was Chancellor Palpatine who flexed his authority and encroached upon the High Council by electing Anakin as his personal representative in the first place. As far as for the council and Mace Windu was concerned, Anakin had now become the ear and mouthpiece of the Supreme Chancellor. As Windu mentioned, it was a very disturbing move by the Chancellor to assert himself over the Jedi by appointing someone to be on the council without their consent or their vote. This sentiment was compounded by the fact that the Chancellor at this point in time had begun to attain many powers that he should have not held, and should have not been held by a singular man. One thing we are told in the novelization is that the Senate actually passed a vote to give the Supreme Chancellor even more power than he already had. The emergency powers given to him by the effects of the war were already substantial enough. However, we find out that the Senate had passed a bill towards the end of the Clone Wars that actually gave the office of the Chancellor direct control over the Jedi Order itself. This meant that both the Jedi and the Grand Army of the Republic had to report to the Chancellor, and Palpatine could direct the Order as he so chose. The High Council was obviously very concerned and upset by this, but there was little that they could do since the Senate had backed Palpatine by the majority. Only a few days after this had happened was when Palpatine appointed Anakin as his personal representative on the council. You now see why the council was largely alarmed by this move. This is why Yoda even said that they didn't take this move lightly. Unfortunately though, due to this bill, their arm was twisted and they were pretty much forced to allow Anakin on the council, since it was a direct decree by the Supreme Chancellor. However, this doesn't mean that they were in any way obligated to give him the rank and privileges of a Jedi Master. In doing so, Anakin would have been allowed to vote on council matters, therefore giving Palpatine the right to vote in Jedi affairs. Officially, it wasn't anything against Anakin, Again, officially, they just didn't trust Palpatine enough and believed that he would use this for political purposes. This is what ultimately made the Council feel the need to have Anakin spy on the Chancellor and report his dealings back to them in a show of loyalty. Remember, at this point in time, they were convinced that Darth Sidious was hiding in Palpatine's inner circle and controlling him from the shadows. Giving Anakin a vote on the Council was giving Palpatine a vote, which in turn was giving the Sith a vote, and the Jedi knew it. This was the official reason. However, we are privy to a few private conversations in the Revenge of the Sith novelization. Conversations that give us a couple of more personal reasons why Anakin was denied mastership. These reasons had actually been decided by Mace Windu long before Anakin's appointment to the High Council. In a secret conversation between Windu and Obi-Wan Kenobi following the Battle of Coruscant, Mace is debriefing Kenobi about the state of affairs and what they have found regarding Darth Sidious being in Palpatine's inner circle. Mace warns Obi-Wan not to tell Anakin about this and to keep it a secret, knowing that the young Skywalker had a tendency to rush off and try to solve everything by himself. Mace Windu says this: Skywalker is arguably the most powerful Jedi alive, and he is still getting stronger, but he is unstable. You know it. We all do. It is why he cannot be given mastership. We must keep him off of the Council despite his extraordinary gifts. Obi-Wan then speaks up, but surely, Obi-Wan then stopped himself. He thought of how many times Anakin had violated orders. He thought of how unflinchingly loyal Anakin was to anyone he considered to be a friend. This theme of Anakin's resolve towards his friends being a problem is expanded upon by Kenobi much later on in the novel, when he speaks to Windu and Yoda. At this point in time, Obi-Wan has already asked Anakin to spy on the Chancellor on behalf of the Council, and he was feeling immense guilt for asking Anakin to betray his friend. Let's read a passage out of the novel so that we can now fully understand. For Anakin, Obi-Wan said at length, there is nothing more important than friendship. He is the most loyal man I have ever met. Loyal beyond reason, in fact. Despite all I have tried to teach him about the sacrifices that are the heart of being a Jedi, he will never, I think, truly understand them. He looked over at Yoda. Master Yoda, you and I have been close friends since I was a boy, an infant. Yet, if ending this war 1 week sooner, 1 day sooner, were to require that I sacrifice your life, you know that I would. As you should, Yoda said, as I would yours, young Obi-Wan, as any Jedi would do for any other in the cause of peace. Any Jedi, Obi-Wan said, except for Anakin. Yoda and Mace exchanged glances, both thoughtfully grim. Obi-Wan guessed that they were remembering the times Anakin had violated the orders, the times he had put at risk entire operations, the lives of thousands, the control of whole planetary systems, to save a friend. More than once, in fact, to save Obi-Wan. I think, Obi-Wan said carefully, that abstractions like peace don't mean much to Anakin. He's loyal to people, not to principles. This passage from the novel truly tells us flat out that Anakin Skywalker is a unique Jedi who doesn't shirk his attachments, but rather allows them to guide his actions and shape the galaxy. According to the Jedi Code and the way the Jedi conduct their business, you can see how Anakin's loyalty to his friends makes him an undesirable pick for the High Council, and especially for mastership. Mastership includes significant privileges and freedoms that do not belong to even Jedi Knights. Masters have access to the vault which contains Sith artifacts and holocrons, but despite Anakin being on the High Council, he doesn't gain these privileges. It is likely that Windu and the other council members correctly assumed that Anakin would desire to use this forbidden knowledge in a rash attempt to save the life of his friends, and the ones that he cares about. And they are absolutely correct. This happens to be why Anakin wants so desperately to gain the rank of Master. He is convinced that there is knowledge in the forbidden holocrons that will be able to save Padme. This need to rescue her, and the fear of her death is why Anakin works so hard to gain mastership. So when he is denied it to him, he now perceives the Council as being the direct obstacles to saving his wife. And this is why both Yoda and Mace Windu don't trust Anakin, and barely even like him. As a Jedi Master, Anakin would create countless problems, especially in the pursuit of knowledge of the Sith. They already know how powerful Anakin is, but unfortunately, denying him this rank drove him to the darkness. But anyway, my friends and acolytes, what are your thoughts on this? What are your thoughts on the insights from the Revenge of the Sith novelization, and the fact that Windu and Yoda never wanted to make Anakin a Jedi Master at all, unless he had a drastic personality shift? As always, my friends, thank you guys so much for watching and continuing to support the channel. May the Force be with you, and have a great day.